Hey, guys. I don't know. This country. Excuse me. You know, there's been this assassination. I think it was 7 days ago now. 9 days ago, I beg your pardon, because it happened on a Saturday and today is a Monday the 27th of March. So two Saturdays ago, one Cloete Murray, a liquidator, guy who specializes in the service, if you like, of liquidating companies, and his son were assassinated, killed in a hit on the N1 in broad daylight. And since then, there's been a fair amount of coverage and speculation, this, that, the next thing, reports about who might have killed him. And last night, on Carte Blanche, somebody who knew him was interviewed, and that guy said that he didn't want to answer the question of who might have done it, who might have assassinated Cloete Murray, but that Cloete Murray did tell him who, if he was killed, who it would be that would do it. And this guy said, so I don't want to tell you names. All I can say is that it's cabinet ministers. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, in fact, this is really a pointless video because I get so few views in South Africa. You know, 1,000, a couple of thousand if I'm lucky. Meaning that the people who are watching my videos are national intelligence, crime intelligence, rival, for want of a better word, South African video maker duties, and Saitlanders, and not even a terribly high proportion of our Saitlanders membership. So I'm preaching to the converted. You know, what does it help that I tell you this? If only it was liberals watching, then it would have some value for me to say, if you think it is going to get better, if you think that this can be fixed, if you think that there is yet light at the end of the tunnel, you've got rocks in your head. ANC cabinet ministers, the deputy president, ANC cabinet ministers, headed to, apparently, implicitly from the original articles, the Daily Maverick stuff, of the 4 cartels that have been sabotaging Eskom and then securing contracts to repair Eskom. And Pravin Gordhan knew about it. It was never suggested that he was the head of one of the cartels, and I'm quite sure that he isn't. But he was informed of it, and the president was informed of it. So in a sense, there was complicity, some aiding and abetting, you know, without let or hindrance. By 4 cabinet ministers. Now again, the guy's saying, Cloete Murray told me if they bump me off, it will be X and Y, maybe a Z as well, but in the plural, X and Y cabinet ministers. This is the African National Congress of the new South Africa Rainbow Nation. You know, guys. What we're dealing with here is normalcy bias. The reason why many people, middle-class people in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg, are not absolutely indignant and up in arms and somehow acting out, putting feelings into thoughts, into words, into actions about this, is because they're still earning 80 grand a month from Discovery, from Sage, Momentum, MTN. So therefore it can't be that bad. Two of my sons went to a good public school, government school, for their primary schools. It was primary schooling. And one day I was doing homework with them. Usually I didn't. They would stay with me about 4 nights a week, every week. But I would get them after work. So homework had been done. Anyway, on this certain given day, I was helping them with their homework for some or other reason. Perhaps I'd had the day off, I don't know. And I discovered that the answers in the back of the textbook were wrong. And needless to say, because I'm a pedantic person, I was horrified. It nearly blew my mind. And that government school that my sons went to was, and possibly still is, a good government school. It was more than satisfactory. It was a source of great pride among the teachers and the pupils and the parents, and they held prayer meetings every week, and the headmistress was just a star. And it wasn't an inferior school, but they had to use textbooks, materials given to them by the Department of Education. And I said to my one son, how often does this happen? And he said to me that his estimate, which he was young, it could have been a poor estimate. Nevertheless, his estimate was that about 1 in 5 of the answers in the maths textbook were incorrect. I didn't bother to go and look because it would have sent I would have done my nut. Anyway, next thing, we're on geography. You can't believe how stupid these people are. The country Chile, they spelt Chile. And then put, this is how stupid they are. A little picture. You know, you've got the map of the world, and the countries names are written in there. And then to accompany the physical geography, you've got the name. So this is Chile. And then a little, whatever you call these idiotic things to remember it by. What did they choose? They spelt it Chile, and then they put chilies there. So every time you see chilies advertised in the fruit and nut shop, whatever you call it, healthy meat or healthy food shop, chilies, R2.99, the Spar. It reinforces in your mind the incorrect spelling of the country's name. They mixed up, I think, Greenland and Iceland, or might have been worse than that. This is now, going on quite a few years. Let me just bring up Google Earth and endeavor to remind myself visually. Come on, man, hurry up. Doesn't appreciate my impatience. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think that they mixed up Iceland and Norway. It's too much for your mind. But this is the best that they can do. I assure you that it's not going to get better. Today I learned that, I must get the terminology right here. What is this? I've closed it. Anyway, the guy called Johan Maree of the South African or the African Snakebite Institute has reported now, on a number of occasions it turns out, that there is a severe shortage of anti-venom. Apparently there are two sorts. The one is called a monovalent anti-venom, and it is used, I am told, I read, only for boomslang bites. The other is called a polyvalent anti-venom, and it is used for about another 7 or 8 snake bites. Black mamba, green mamba, puff adder, 2 or 3 cobra sorts, another mamba sort whose name I didn't recognize, short-nosed East African mamba or something like that. And somebody queried that claim when I posted it on my group, on one of my, the 3 groups that I run, WhatsApp groups. I've described them to you in the past. In fact, he was speaking on behalf of somebody else. Somebody else had said to him, "No, man, that's a load of rubbish. It's untrue. You tell that Simon Roche, he's talking nonsense." So I thought, well, let me double check. You know, one report, maybe they lied. So I read another 4. It turns out that veterinarians in the Republic of South Africa have not been able to procure this anti-venom or these anti-venoms for 10 months now. Now, obviously, there will be exceptions. If I, as a middleman, anti-venom vendor, buy a job lot and I have good stock for an extended period of time, then I may have still had stock for you, Mr. Veterinarian, in Hopetown, Douglas, Amanzimtoti, 6 months ago. The point is that for 10 months, the national laboratories that manufacture this stuff, it's a subdivision of the National Laboratory Institute, have not been releasing to veterinary channels, according to good sources. I read 4 articles, 5 in total, the first one another 4. For 10 months, that's a fact. The fact that you may have picked up a vial 3 or 4 or 5 months ago is only by virtue of the fact that somebody else had extra. Not that the national laboratories were supplying to vets, to that channel, that vector, the veterinary side of things. And to public hospitals and doctors, apparently not for the past couple of months. Again, there are some people who will have and some people who will yet be able to get. But it's not because the laboratory is manufacturing and distributing into the channel that serves the market. Producer, distributor, wholesaler, retailer, end user. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry I'm being so hectoring about this. But I didn't mind the query, actually, and it came from a good guy. He spoke really nicely to me, but it just irritated me that the person on the other end, the person who said to him, hey, your Simon guy's talking rubbish, wanted to challenge me. Apparently there was discussion of whose number should go to whom, who's going to phone whom, without bothering to look the thing up. So I have to do the extra work, and I have to defend it when he's incorrect. That's annoying. You know, the last guy. So there will be some, but the national laboratory, the place that makes the stuff, has not supplied to the veterinary market for 10 months, and that's a fact. And for a couple of months, I don't know the exact date, one of the articles, I was going to say suggest, it's not a suggestion, says that the laboratories have not produced for the human consumption market for doctors and hospitals since December. So it was picked up and reported in early January. And they wrote of it as if it was a somewhat ongoing thing. Not that it happened the day before, 4th of January, my birthday. This has been going on. It turns out that we have been informed by Dr. So-and-so that he has not been able to get. So who knows the exact date? But the fact of the matter is that wherever you look, the African National Congress's rule is catastrophic. There is no doubt in my mind, given the snakes that we have, 3 or 4 pretty serious cobra types, I would say, I speak only as a layman, really, please. I would say, obviously, black mamba is very dangerous by virtue of its aggressiveness. Not the most lethal venom in the world, but lethal enough, and it's aggressive. The same with the Cape Cobra. I don't think it's nearly, they say some sea snake in, I don't know, somewhere is the most poisonous snake, but it's not aggressive. Geelslang, the Cape Cobra, is aggressive. It would like to bite you. It was hoping that it would get a chance to bite you. Pafadder, the most widely distributed snake in Africa, and the snake apparently that kills more people in Africa than any other snake in Africa by far. What that means, I don't know, but by far. I did some reading. The green mamba, Mozambican spitting cobra, runkals. There is no doubt in my mind, I don't have to do this research. I know it already. That there was a time when South Africa was one of the leading snake bite anti-venom producers in the world. By virtue of that. But, you know, so many snakes. By virtue of the presence of so many lethal snakes in one small country, we would have taken it upon ourselves to be the best. They can't produce any. Imagine you buy you're in the Midlands of Natal, Shongweni, and you buy a 25 million rand horse. And it gets bitten by a green mamba in Shongweni. You ring up the vet. We've got a problem here, Mr. Vet. Urgent. The vet comes. Sorry, you'll have to write off that 25. What do you mean write it off? There's nothing I can do. What do you mean nothing? It's a snake bite. Well, give him No, we haven't been able to get for almost a year, 2 years, 5 years. There is one silver lining to this, and this is where the Buddha come in. I've said this in previous videos, so more than once, and I've said it privately a number of times in recent weeks and months. The one way that we will ever do well in this country, our people, the Caucasian Christian peoples, the European peoples, that share broadly a history, Germanic languages or Romance languages, culture, traditions, values. There's actually a term in Roman Dutch law called norms, mores, and values. And that term is meant to encompass everything from the norms. What is your norm? One of them is that we get married under... What are your mores? What do you consider right and wrong? We don't believe in rape. We say that's not so good. Okay. So your traditions, your customs, your culture, what you believe to be right and wrong, morals, and your values, what you hold sacred. We hold children sacred. We don't play the numbers game when it comes to kids. For instance, those are typically European values, and of course, values, and there are thousands more. If we want to prosper, we're going to have to learn how. And I've said to you before, we have to look at the Omanis in Zanzibar, the Kenya cowboys, the white Kenyans, they call them KCs, Kenya cowboys, the Lebanese in Nigeria. That's a very, very, very good example, by the way. How do they do it? And they do it very well. And I put it to you that the AfriForum, for all of our differences with them, doesn't change the fact, have set a good example concerning the pebble bed modular reactor that they intend installing, presumably down the road. It's a wild assumption. Make no mistake, but perhaps not as wild as you might think. I have a number of reasons for speculating on that horse, the Orania horse. And I put it to you that sooner or later, some Afrikaner is going to start making anti-venom. A year after that, he'll be shipping it all over the world. And then the National Laboratory Institute, the subdivision department, whatever, I forget the name, is going to become redundant and irrelevant. In the same way that in Nigeria, large-scale civil engineering infrastructure development projects are not performed by the government. I'm not talking about a road here or there. The Lebanese do them. Huge, enormous, mind-boggling. I've been to Nigeria. I haven't been now for about 10 years, maybe longer. 12 maybe. But I've been there about 23 times, 25 times. And there have been occasions when I've remained there for 6 weeks. at a time. So I know the place well. And some of these developments, reclaiming land and what have you, are just incredibly large. They make the Cape Town waterfront of 40 years ago, that development looked like nothing. Because the government cannot perform them. So the Lebanese go to the government and they say, what will it take for us to get a $10 billion loan finance from, say, the West African Development Bank, from the government, from whoever, and to get permission to build that, billion square meter land reclamation project off Lekki in Lagos. And by the way, we'll give 20% to you. The government can't do it. They cannot. The same in Kenya, for example. Those government projects are not projects by a good African government. They are projects by not so much the KCs, the Kenya Cowboys, but more like Chinese and other entrepreneurs who will come and say, we've been doing some scouting around. We see that there's a severe shortage of whatever. And we reckon that we can make some tom out of it. And naturally, we won't forget you. How do we get it right? And so they wangle. And so civil society substitutes for the role of government. What the government should be doing, they do instead. And that is one of the places we are going to have to find a niche for ourselves. But watch this space. Within a couple of years, Samo with a Dutch or Huguenot or German surname, whose family has been here for 15 or 17 generations, is going to be selling snake venom worldwide. Oh dear me, it's too funny for words. Guys, thank you for watching this long video. Hey, I don't know. All right then. Cheerio, everybody. Bye-bye.